And today I'm going to tell about my craziest experience in Speedway, and you may not believe that, but I'm going to tell you this. It started when I was just a young boy. I used to play Pop Warner football in Orange, California. I played for the Orange Panthers. And this story has to deal with one of my teammates who was a wide receiver on the Orange Panthers. I went to Speedway my whole life, and I saw this one rider. He was a D3 rider, and he was on my team on the Orange Panthers. Like I said, a wide receiver. And I was really shocked. You know, I'd see somebody I know racing Speedway. So I won't say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but I went ahead and said, "Hi, so-and-so," and he said, like, "Hi, like, punk." And so I was very excited. I rooted for him, and you know, very happy. And you know, he's riding D3 where I was going to be riding soon the next year. And I start riding D3. I was riding with this guy, probably. I was riding with him, I think. I was a crappy rider. We're all like not good in D3, and of course I didn't know anything and stuff. And then I'm riding, and then, like I mentioned in my blog, I got a little better. And I went ahead and raced for the King of the Hill Championship the following year. I won a lot of main events. Scratch, handicap, did really well. And this guy who was in D3 with me, he stayed in D3. He never got any better. I won't mention his name. And he was getting mad at me and jealous, I guess. And I never talked to the guy. I never said a word. I never smiled or nothing to him. I was busy signing autographs after the races and winning main events and practicing my craft of racing Speedway. But I guess this guy, was jealous or got mad at me or something like that. I never had any hard feelings towards anyone, so I don't know why he was so mad, but I think he saw that I was getting a lot of notoriety. I was successful in the sport of Speedway, and maybe he wasn't doing as well, so I think he got mad. So that was something I didn't know was happening because I'm so busy with my own life. I'm not focusing on what others think about me, because you know, in life a lot of people don't like you, and you just don't have time to worry about what people think of you. And that's the way I was. I didn't worry about if somebody loved me or hated me. I was so busy focusing on winning races and being successful.
So there I was riding D3, and I just kind of got advanced pretty good. I took some lessons from Dangerous Doug Farrell after that first 2 weeks of that end of that season, and I started developing myself, and I didn't realize there was jealous Speedway riders, but people get crazy sometimes. And I'm just going to tell you another continue the early days Speedway story of this guy. It didn't stop right there with jealousy. It moved on to another level.
The next year, I was racing Speedway at South Bay Speedway in San Diego. Completely forgot about this guy. I just got really good at the track, and I was really busy trying to win and be successful in main events and the King of the Hill. On cloud 9, but at the end of the night I was very tired. You know, you race and you're just really tired. I had a 2-hour drive home, so I knew in San Diego I had a long drive in my van. So I'm pulling out, and all of a sudden there's another van that cuts me off and comes in front of me, and I'm like, what is this? And the guy is the same guy that I used to play football with, and he blocked me from like leaving, and he cut me off. And I'm like, okay, because I didn't like pay attention to that guy. I was really busy. And the guy pulls out this big knife. It's a huge knife, and he starts flashing it in front of me and says, "I will kill you. I'm gonna cut your neck off, and I'm gonna like stab you." And I'm like, what? And I was very shocked, and the guy started threatening me like he was gonna kill me right now. And I think he was like on cocaine or something, like drugs, because I was like, he was crazy, and you know, and he was a nice guy. I mean, he's not a bad guy, but he just got his head going crazy. So I was like kind of scared, so I just like drove around him in my truck and left the races. And I was kind of scared. Normally you don't get threatened with a big knife that someone's gonna kill you. So I went and told my friends about it and explained that, what is this? And my friend said, don't worry about it, we'll protect you. And I said, oh, very nice.
So I was threatened by this guy. I had no idea what was going on. I was really pretty much in a state of shock, you know, when this happened. This is just really weird. So I had to go tell somebody about it, and I had some pretty good friends. So I was kind of nervous because I'm really not used to people threatening to kill me every day. So I had to talk about it with some of my buddies.
I'm talking to my friends, Ernie Rocio, and I told him the story. I said, this guy pulled a knife on me. And then he said, I'll talk to my brother Johnny. And he goes, Johnny, come here. So Johnny comes over and he says, what do you want? Brian, tell the story about this guy pulling a knife on you. So I told him the story. And Johnny says, don't worry, I'll take care of you. Now, Ernie and Johnny were from some very special, famous Speedway family. Their uncle was the famous Ernie Rocio. My friend's name's Ernie and his uncle's name's Ernie. And he died in 1952 racing Speedway in England. Ernie was a very good racer. He raced in the World Finals the year before he died. He was like a star rider. And I guess he got in a crash. Something got in his eyes. He tried getting the pull-ups, and then he ended up crashing into the pole or something and died. So it's a very tragic, very terrible event. Ernie said, we'll join you and we'll make sure this thug doesn't hurt you. And I didn't even ask him to do that. And I said, okay, let's do that one. So they're getting ready for Costa Mesa, and guess who's with me? Ernie and Johnny.
It's nice to have good friends, right? I didn't even ask for that. And they said, Brian, we like you, you're our buddy, and we're gonna be by your side. So what happened here? We're gonna find out what happened here. With this guy, he would not stop. He would not stop until he was stopped, okay? So we're gonna see what happened with this thug.
The next week at Costa Mesa, I raced, and I think I was in D1 at the time, and I did good. After the races, I'm in the pits cleaning up my stuff and taking it to my van, and this rider who, I have 28 mutual friends, so I know that, you know, a lot of you know who he is, and I don't want to say his name because, like, it's embarrassing. And he's a nice guy, I'm sure, and I don't really know him very well still, but it doesn't matter. But after the races, this guy comes up to me, kind of crazy, and he, like, threatens me. He says, I will beat you up, I'm gonna punch you out. And I'm like, what's up, dude? You know, like, why you, like, do this? And my friend, Ernie Rocio, he had this big sling over his chest. He had this big sling over his chest from the injury. He had a broken collarbone. And Ernie, like, said, like, F you, dude, like, what are you doing this for, you know? And then this rider, who a lot of you know, he went up to Ernie, who was handicapped. And he said, I will beat your, you know, effing face and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, he come up to me and wanted to beat me up. And now he goes to my handicapped partner, Ernie. He wants to beat him up. And this guy's like tall. He's like 6'4", you know, he's a big guy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, what is this? And then he's ready to beat up this guy who's handicapped with an injury from racing. And then his little brother, Johnny, who happens to be a black belt in karate, he just told this rider, like, hey, over here, come here, I want to talk to you. And then this rider goes from me to Ernie to the brother, Johnny, and starts giving him crap like he's going to beat him up. And Johnny's a black belt, like I mentioned, and he just went ahead and took about 30 punches on the guy's face in like 2 seconds, knocked him out cold in the pits at Costa Mesa. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. So I was shocked. I never said for him to punch anybody, and he knocked his guy out. I'm not going to mention his name. He knocked him cold out, and I'm like, and you know, of course, a fight, you know, in the pits, everyone looking at you. So everyone, and so we just walked away, you know, like Johnny, Ernie, and I just like, okay, goodbye. We walked away, and I'm like, and everyone's like, oh my gosh. And this guy's like laid out cold on the concrete. He like went down, and I'm like, this guy got what he deserved, you know, the guy's a punk. Everyone was scared of me. They're like, Brian is badass, you know, and he has friends that are like the mafia, so do not mess with Brian the Bumblebee. And I'm like, okay, don't mess with me. And nobody messed with me. So the next week at Costa Mesa, I raced the D1 again. And I was nervous, like this guy, he like wouldn't go away. He kept like bothering me, and this time he got nailed. This guy got knocked cold. And so I was thinking, oh God, you know. So I saw this guy after the races in the pits at Costa Mesa. If you race at Costa Mesa in the old days, you know there's lots of vans, and you know, it's a small area, and it's kind of like not very open. And I saw the guy, and he's like, peace, peace, peace. He was like scared. And I'm glad he like backed off, because I didn't want him to hurt no more. I didn't want him hurt at all. Like, I don't like people getting hurt, but the guy like got crazy, and he got his butt reamed for being crazy. And that's kind of the story. We're still not really friends on Facebook, I think, and I don't want to mention his name because he's probably a good guy, you know, like I don't want to insult the guy, but the guy just got crazy. And, you know, I guess he was always a D3 rider. He never, you know, got to D2. He was just a guy who come from a rich family or whatever, and just never really learned how to ride very well. And I guess he was jealous of me. Like, he was jealous of me. I was poor, you know, like this guy I think was rich. He had a rich papa, and I had a poor family, and I had a heart, you know, like I wanted to race speedway, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And so in life, whatever you do, if you have a heart for something, you will succeed. And I learned that lesson in my racing. I had a heart for racing. I wanted to win. I wanted to be successful. I just wanted to like reach the top of the hill, you know, like race D1. And I wanted to race the big guys. I didn't care if I stayed there forever. I didn't need to ride for 65 years, you know. I didn't need that. I didn't need to be world champion or whatever. I just wanted to get there. And, you know, I think I got there, but I just wanted to be a good rider. So that's my story about the fight. It was like crazy, and I never expected it, and you know, it was just something really weird experience. But in life, you never know what's gonna happen. But that was just an experience, and if you see this, if you're the guy that got punched out, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry that this happened, and you know, like I wish it never happened, and I wish you would have like calmed down a little bit too.